Hey, RetconRaider here. Today's video is dedicated to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible. With special thanks to Revenant, Anerdinwarpaint, Antonio Hernandez, Dragon Matrix 7, Exsellsior, Lima, Nathan Welch Jr., and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. Kaiser, get out of the snack box. And welcome back to the Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous beta, as we deal with the aftermath of last week's unfortunate adventure. You'll notice we're back in camp, but I have not actually done any of our off-screen bookkeeping just yet. I'll get to that a bit later. For now, I thought we would just go ahead and have a quick follow-up with Seelah. See how she's dealing with the events from the Houndheart camp. Poor gal. After that, we'll have our first chat with Sosiel and maybe catch up with a couple of other people around camp real quick. But I do want to set aside at least half the episode for actual adventuring, so we'll see how it goes. Seelah looks sad and pensive. It's good to see you. Get this. Jana, the one who ran away when we were attacked by demons, never went back to her unit. She was seen running towards Numeria. Looks like she deserted. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. Or not the only thing. Since our raid on the Houndheart's camp, I've had this sinking feeling that I made a mistake. Dragging you into this, I mean. I should have known that a raid along the edge of the world wound wouldn't be so easy. But mostly, I was wrong about a lot of people. About Jana, who lost her nerve and abandoned her friends. About Curl. I know he was a thief, but I really thought he'd turned over a new leaf and deserved a little compassion and trust. And Alan, I thought we were kindred spirits, friends through thick and thin. But it looks like I was wrong about him, too. Seelah looks at you closely, waiting for your answer. Don't lose your trust in people, Seelah. So what if you made a few mistakes? It's no reason to give up on your ideals. Somebody has to show people that there's a better path. Seelah's expression brightens. Thank you, my friend. I needed that support. She sighs. Thanks for listening to my grumbling, and for helping me get to the bottom of this. I'm not going to leave things as they stand. If I get the chance, I'll track down Jana and see if I can talk some sense into her, and find out why Curl did what he did. I can't stop thinking about what Alan told me in the end. I really have become more powerful than paladins, who are far more experienced and selfless than me. There's something not right about it. A servant of Iomedae should gain their power through dedicated personal effort. It's the only way to make sure they'll use the power for good. Our journey so far, it's all wrong. And it means I need to be 3 times as hard on myself now. So, the fate of the League of the Card affected you greatly. So you could say, I did what I thought was right. I tried to help a good person with their troubles. And what came of it? I'm sorry, I won't find peace until I track down Curl and Jana. What were they thinking? Is there any way to get through to them? Or should I just admit I was terribly wrong? There's another thing that's worrying me. The way people react to your power. And mine. They think that if we've been chosen by Iomedae, they need to pray at our feet. I'm not comfortable with the younger warriors hanging on my every word. Seelah smiles sourly. I feel alone. Nobody else is going to sit with me and celebrate saving a beer cart. And I'd like to regain, if not the friendship, at least the trust of the other knights. Especially those I respect and consider my friends, like Alan. So obviously this is barely scratching the surface with her personal mission, but I think it's pretty clear even from here that ultimately we'll have to guide Seelah to either a more lawful path, akin to what Elan expects from her, versus her older, more carefree, chaotic path. Anyway, let's see what's up with Sosiel. Good afternoon, Commander. How can I help you? What did you want to talk about? I have a personal request. While we're still in the vicinity of Canabris, I'd like to visit the martyr Zacharias' cemetery nearby. I want to attend the funeral of my friends from the Temple of Shayna, who died defending the city. And if it isn't too much to ask, I'd like you to accompany me when I honor their memory. Their friends and relatives will be there. Who knows? Perhaps the commander's own presence will be a small consolation for them.
I know that you are burdened by many cares right now, so I understand if you can't find the time. But if you could, I would be sincerely grateful.
Oh, yes, of course. How could I possibly say no? Apparently you feel so strongly about it, you actually said that part out loud. So, Sosiel, tell me about yourself. To be honest, I don't have much to tell. I had done little with my life until I met you. But if you want to know anything, just ask. All right, well, where are you from? From Andoran. I grew up on the outskirts of Carpendon, a large, rich city, surrounded by gardens and vineyards. Just imagine, miles and miles of greenery and fragrant orchards. Sosiel inhales with pleasure, as if he could still sense the aromas of his faraway homeland. My family had a small winery. I worked there from a young age. I pressed juice, did a little carpentry, painted, and one day I discovered I could do more with paint than simply cover walls with it. There was a Temple of Shayna nearby. My brother and I would often spend our days there, listening to music and enjoying the stained glass windows. As a boy, my brother decided to devote himself to serving the Eternal Rose. Our parents hoped that at least I would remain to run the family business. But he makes an apologetic gesture. It can't be helped. The goddess called me too. It's all right. I have plenty of cousins, second cousins, and other relatives. When this war is over, I'll go back there and see how they're doing. So, you're an artist? The cleric smiles shyly. That's too grand a word for it. But yes, I love to paint, and I know how to. Of course, a crusade isn't the best place for art. What I managed to draw here is, at best, sketches. I hope, when the war is over, I'll be able to turn them into real paintings. Fascinating. May I see your sketches? There is nothing special in them, but if you're really interested... Sosiel hands you a folder filled with pencil sketches. You recognize familiar fighters in some of the portraits. The cleric drew them without flattery, just as they are. But beneath the features that seem boring and even ugly in life, Sosiel's hand has found inner beauty, power, and dignity. The tired faces of soldiers covered with wrinkles and scars resembles an army of angels. There are landscapes in the folder as well. At first, you don't understand why these blooming hills, shady groves, and shimmering springs seem so familiar. But you have passed by these places as you traveled around the World Wound, though you saw them darkened and maimed by demonic influence. Sosiel's pencil has restored them to their former beauty, which the demons stole from them, and which the Crusaders are fighting to return. So, instead of working as a craftsman, you decided to serve a deity? An interesting turn of fate. Sosiel nods with a smile. Some clerics are proud of their tender hands, which have never touched anything heavier than a brush. But there's nothing ugly about hard-earned calluses. Indeed, I should say that saving the world is easier with strong hands. The smile disappears from Sosiel's face, and he looks down, adding, I'm sorry these hands couldn't save the people who died in Canabris. How did you end up in Canabris? A grim shadow falls over the cleric's face. I was hoping to find Trevor in the city. My brother. After my brother took his vows and was ordained a paladin of Shaylin, he departed for the Crusade. He wrote home often about everything he saw, his battles, the people he helped. From his letters, I learned that he had joined the Eagle Watch in Canabris. But soon, his letters became infrequent, and then they stopped altogether. We feared news of his death, but silence was our only answer. Not a word from him, or from his command, or his brothers in arms. Nothing. In the end, I couldn't wait any longer, and I came here myself, to find Trevor, if he's still alive, or his grave, if he should have perished. But my brother seems to have vanished. I tried asking the other paladins, but they refused to talk to me, and it's very much like they're trying to avoid the need to lie. I sent official requests to their orders command. Still, I wait in vain for an answer. I joined the local church of Shaylin, hoping to find out the truth one day. But the city was attacked by demons. You must love your brother very much to follow him here. You have no idea how much. I would follow him to the end of the world, into the abyss itself, if need be. Trevor is an amazing man. I know he's alive. He's too stubborn to die. I hope one day he joins us. And then we will surely triumph. How did you end up at the court of Queen Galfrey? The cleric looks down. When the city was attacked by demons, there was a hospital in our church. Every one of us was prepared to fight to the last to cover the evacuation. But our Mother Superior wouldn't let me join the fight. She sent me for help. And everyone who stayed was killed. Why did she choose me? Maybe it was because I was new, the youngest and least experienced of the clerics, and I wouldn't be much help in battle. Or maybe she was giving me a chance to survive while the rest of them bravely died. Shaylin, be my witness. I did not ask for this. I would be honored to lay my own head next to theirs. I ran to the closest Mendevian garrison. I don't know by what miracle I got there. There were demons all around, and everything was on fire. I remember my horse was killed right under me while I fought off some shrieking monsters. But when I came to, I awoke among friends. My first thought was that it must be a dream. In my delirium, Queen Galfrey herself was dressing my wounds. But it was true. It was the Queen herself, tending to a lowly warrior. That's how I ended up in her army. I marched with them back to Canabris. To the ruins. How do you manage to always look like you're on your way to a tea party, not a battle? Sosiel looks down, for a few moments searching in silence for the right words. At last, he softly replies. When I first got here, to the World Wound, you know, the word terror doesn't convey half of what I felt. The land itself here is maimed and mutilated, desecrated. But more frightening still is what the war does to people, to their bodies and souls. For every knight in shining armor, there are 100 warriors whose souls are maimed with fear, suffering, and cruelty. Many have forgotten why they're here, and now know only war. When there's a break in the fighting, they drink themselves into oblivion and wallow in the mud. They're rotting alive and don't even seek help. They gave up on themselves a long time ago. Sosiel looks you in the face, and you see pain in his eyes. Don't misunderstand me. I don't condemn them. Quite the opposite. I want to help. And to do so, I must look after myself first. Not only to treat and support them, but to remind them that there's something else besides war. There's a normal world out there. A place where blood doesn't stain the ground, and people don't sleep in trenches, and a place where, as you said, they even occasionally have tea parties. The cleric smiles, but his eyes seem sad. Jeez, man, come on. You do so much to help others. I want you to know, whenever you yourself need support, you can count on me. Thanks for caring. I'm glad I now have a friend like you. I used to have no one to rely on besides my goddess. A shadow crosses Sosiel's face momentarily, but it's immediately replaced with an inspiring smile. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I promise I won't neglect myself. To serve others, I must have strength. What is a servant of the goddess of beauty doing in a war zone? I am doing what the goddess destined me for, to keep our fighters safe. I am confident in our victory. The gods of good are on our side, so we cannot fail. But victory is not enough. I do whatever I can to help those who are holding off the forces of the abyss, so they may live long enough to see victory, without losing themselves along the way. Every one of our soldiers deserves a home where people love them and are waiting for their return. When our soldiers are finally able to go home, on that day, I may earn the right to lay down my weapons forever. Intriguing. And I'm fairly certain this final option here is to start his romance path, which I will avoid for now. Much like with Darren, it's nothing personal to Sosiel. I'm just not looking to start any of the romance paths. No need to make this awkward, especially given that we are playing an early beta. So none of those paths really end anyway. Besides, trying to flirt with a guy who's clearly suffering survivor's guilt seems pretty skeevy. We can still show plenty of emotional support without making things weird. So, tell me about your brother. Trevor. He's always been my hero, ever since we were children. I was a coward, always telling petty lies, always running away from danger. Trevor always ran toward it. He had this saying, "An army stands until peace comes. A lie stands until the truth comes out." He never lied, never let injustice pass. Never... The cleric's voice trembles and breaks, and he shakes his head. He was 8 when he said he was going to be a paladin, and he always went toward that goal, day after day, never looked back. I remember the day he went off to fight. I thought, this is it. The war will finally end. Trevor will defeat all the demons and close the world wound. But... Sosiel gestures helplessly. It's fine, I understand. Thanks for talking. My pleasure. Fascinating. I like Sosiel. I actually find it really fascinating to put him side by side with Darren, who is kind of the flip side of the same coin, because they're both clearly suffering from survivor's guilt based on their own backgrounds. Darren losing his family, Sosiel losing all of his friends and his brother. Is that... Hold on a second. Hi. What the hell do you want from me? Look, I would stop approaching you if you would stop lurking around my camp like this. Hylor, what's going on? Hylor nods approvingly. You've earned the title of Commander. Canabras still stands thanks to you. But you'll have to be doubly on your guard. Your Eminence places a target on your back, and there are assassins about. You don't say. Killing a high-ranking crusader would bring a demon far more prestige than killing a common soldier. Not long ago, I stymied a few of the Spinner of Nightmares attempts on the lives of influential crusaders, so I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and, who was the elf that was talking to you? She, didn't introduce herself, but she was greatly interested in the volunteers that had joined the army. She thought I might know the elf she was looking for from my mercenary contacts. But I couldn't tell you any more than that. She never shared his name. Right, which does more or less seem to confirm that the dark elf, Kaylessa, is still poking around for Forn, who might be lurking around here somewhere. He wasn't in the previous build, so I'm not sure where he would be tucked away, if he is. I'll have to poke around the camp a little later. Oh, and we need to talk to Horgus. Or this person. A message for the commander. A knight in simple armor lowers his voice. I'm the Queen's bodyguard. She sent me to tell you she's arrived at Camp Incognito, as planned. You can find her where the minor knightly orders are camped. Come if you wish to speak with her. Well, we've got a bit on our plate at the moment, a funeral to attend, you understand. Tell Her Majesty I'll come and meet with her as time permits. Certainly. One more thing for the to-do list. I would actually go talk with her now, but like I said, I want to make sure we leave time to do some actual adventuring today. Let's have a quick chat with Horgus. I have been specifically told we should chat with Horgus before we do anything else, so let's see what he's got for us. Horgus Squirm has been expecting you, thumb stuck in his belt. There you are. I've been waiting. As you see, I too have joined the Crusade. I don't know how to swing a sword, but war is costly, and I have money. Besides, my intellect and business sense may prove useful, even on the battlefield. Besides, I believe... Horgus shifts awkwardly from foot to foot. I believe I owe you an apology. The way I behaved was rude, ill-mannered. You are an honest and honorable person. You have clawed your way up from the bottom of society to the title of Knight Commander, and you are friends with Queen Galfrey herself. Such persistence deserves respect. Horgus tilts his head in a brief acknowledgement of your merits. Please, allow me to give you this magic amulet from my humble personal treasury, to mark our future cooperation. Oh, well, thank you. That's new. He definitely did not do that in the previous build. Looks like most of this is retread, but we've got some new things. So, why have you decided to support the Crusades now? With all due respect, that's none of your business. I have my reasons. Perhaps I felt a rush of patriotism when Canabris was destroyed. Or it could have something to do with the fact that your daughter is now with us. Anyway, why would you think I never supported the Crusaders? Perhaps I simply don't like to brag about my donations. Ostentatious charity only attracts beggars. I'd wager that Irabeth has no idea whose money she's spending on drinks and supplies. Why did you hide the fact that Camellia is your daughter? Didn't I tell you this at the mansion? Yes, you absolutely did. Sorry. Thought that was a new one. Moving on. What can you tell me about Count Darren Arende? The nobles of Canabris should be acquainted with each other, shouldn't they? He is a brilliant young man with a brilliant pedigree. And that story of his, the nobility is the glue that keeps our society together. I suppose that is why demons so often choose their estates as primary targets. Who would notice the demons' bloody massacres if they only slaughtered poor country folk? The Arende family shared the tragic plight of the Gwyrms. Along with many other members of the nobility, they fell victim to a treacherous attack during a major celebration taking place at their family estate. I hadn't received an invitation and was slightly insulted by the snub, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The gods saved me from a terrible fate. All the guests died that day from a magical demonic disease. I sympathize with the Count deeply. He has endured so much, and it's no wonder he keeps himself aloof from me. I think this is due to the fact that Horgus Gwyrm's fate so resembles his own, and we both have to relive those horrible memories whenever we see each other. Let's That's interesting, because we did have Darren with us when we found out that this Horgus was just a lone surviving child of the massacre before he assumed the identity. Which I guess would be pretty traumatic for someone like Darren, who has clearly shown sympathy for other people who have been victimized by the Crusades or the surrounding events. Huh. Alright, I think that's enough talking for now. Obviously there's more conversations to be had, but we'll put a pin in those for now, and we will work our way through them in subsequent visits. Oh, but we should have a look at that amulet. Which apparently increases the potency of hexes by 1. I can absolutely understand why people pushed me to make sure I talked to Horgus before we left. Yeah, that is going right on Ember. Actually, how do I can't seem to... Okay, I'm not sure how to close that window. Okay, you know what? Let's hit the pause button. I'll figure this out and take care of our off-screen bookkeeping, and then we'll head over to the graveyard. We'll be right back. And we are back. I actually ended up having to close the game to get rid of that window, which is fine. As always, this is just an unfinished beta. A bit of an outdated one at this point, too. As you can see, we now have Sosiel tagging along. I've got him decently equipped, and you can also see he's got his first mythic ability, which I guess he got just for joining us in the field. If Boundless Healing was working, I'd go ahead and grab that one, but since it obviously is not in the current build, we're going to sit on that. I'd like to do a bit of experimenting, see if I can find a nice oddball combo for him. Martyr Zacharias' Cemetery. An unassuming cemetery on the outskirts of Canabris, named after a martyr, a hero of the First and Second Crusades. It serves as the final resting place for crusaders who came from half a world away to fight demons, and for townsfolk who never picked up a weapon in their lives. Despite the proximity of the World Wound, the Wardstone has always prevented demons from setting foot here, thereby protecting this place against desecration. Right, which I'm sure continues to this day. I am prepared for a depressing but otherwise largely uneventful funeral. An elderly man limps towards a grave and clumsily throws a handful of soil inside. How unfair. They were all so young. They had their whole lives ahead of them. They sacrificed themselves, and an old cripple like me still lives. An elven woman with her face bathed in tears steps up to the grave. She whispers, "The painting. It burned like everything else in the house. There is nothing left for me to remember you by. Nothing." A young man throws a handful of soil into the open grave and stands beside it for a while, lost in thought. Finally, he sighs and steps back. Sosiel throws a handful of soil into the grave in front of him. He takes a breath and prepares to speak, but it seems that he simply cannot find the right words. The cleric wipes his tear-filled eyes, gathers his resolve, and says in a gentle voice, "I wish you a warm welcome in Shaylin's realm. We will win this war, I swear to you. We'll banish this ugliness and evil, make the world richer, and let peace blossom in it. We'll make sure anything like this... He breaks into sobs mid-sentence, then falls silent without finishing his declaration. Thank you for everything you've done for us." Sosiel is too absorbed in his grief to hear you, but the other mourners nod in approval, wiping their teary eyes. They were good people. I can't believe they're gone. What is that? An elven woman shrieks in horror, disrupting the atmosphere of silent mourning. Her trembling hand points at something moving inside a grave. Suddenly, a corpse climbs out of the ground, wafting a horrible stench from its rotting body. It's a zombie! Run! Huh. Well, I will admit, while obviously we were expecting something, I really thought it would be something a bit more extreme than zombies. Alright, I guess we'll kill this one zombie real quick. Oh, but let's go ahead and get mage armor up first. Lan? Thank you, Lan. Ah, I see. We're not quite done. Oh, okay. Now things are slightly more serious. Hey! Lay off Layla. Don't make me go over there. Oh man, this taskbar is a mess. I'm really resisting the urge to do a complete reset on it. Yeah, that'll have to do. I'll get that cleaned up proper for next time. Thank you, Waljiff. Let's get Kaiser on the south side. Take some pressure off Layla. Nice. As a reminder, Kaiser's got that armor that adds a chance to knockdown every time he charges. Amber, my darling, let's get you in mage armor.
Yes.
And let's get you tucked in close. She's still pretty vulnerable even with that armor running. Oh, I will note, Creed is now wielding the Collapse, the +1 Cold Iron Warhammer we took off Foul Snout back at the Great Garrison. It has a chance to knock all nearby enemies prone every time it lands a crit. Let's double check that belt buckle, just to make sure it's running. Though I don't think that actually helps with blunt versus zombies.
Eternal Rose, I call upon you!
Nicely done. So yeah, Creed's really just going to be running interference for Waljiff this fight. Oh, and just in case you somehow didn't notice, Lan is now rocking Finian, which means every arrow he fires is a +1 Cold Iron Ghost Touch arrow. Slightly less potent than the +2 bow we had him using before, but I think all that other stuff more than makes up for the extra +1. I believe in the final campaign, they'll have a series of side quests you can use to boost Finian's power. But for the time being, +1 should be more than adequate for our needs. Alright, Ember. We will, of course, refrain from trying to put undead zombies to sleep. And instead have her cast some actual spells for once. The Slumber Hex is still more fun, but I'd say that's a close second. Also, I just accidentally skipped Creed's turn. Nice, nice. Well, Jeff, always missing with that leading strike.
Make every strike count.
Ooh, let's try something a little different this time. Yes. We so rarely get to use that spell. It's nice to bust it out every once in a while. Goodness, Layla. I guess she's getting tired of this fight, too. Nice. Good arm.
Ha! I win!
Oh, jeez. Sosiel, calm down. Sosiel is slightly upset.
Endure this!
With a heavy heart, Sosiel looks at the corpses of his friends, returned to rest by his own hand. What is this twisted mockery? Who could possibly... Wait, what's this? He bends down and recovers something from the ground. Take a look at this. Sosiel hands off a black onyx gem to you. Once precious, this stone is now covered in cracks, falling apart in your grip as you examine the engraved Minotaur's head, the unholy symbol of Baphomet. The cleric's voice, perplexed at first, fills with rage as he speaks. Cultists. Simply murdering my friends was not enough for them. No, they had to come to the funeral and desecrate their graves. I'm sorry you had to go through this. These demon worshippers are everywhere. Now I understand why the Inquisitors of Canabras became so paranoid. Wait, the townspeople fled the undead without knowing they have a traitor among them. Wherever they are, they're in great danger. We must find them. Yeah, that does seem like a plan. Though I'm taking points off for saying great danger instead of grave danger. Let's go ahead and get some buffs up. We don't have a ton to work with, but we should have some decent options here. And then we will set off in hot pursuit. Man, I would love to have a proper abjurationist or alchemist in the party. There are so many great defense spells we're missing out on. Alright, that will have to do. I could definitely see that being a long-term issue with this party. A lack of access to proper buffs. Open this damn door. Please, somebody, open the door. Okay. Right, we're on it. In fact... touch of good. Nice. The half-rotten corpse of a woman shambles out of the crypt. She leers at you with her empty eye sockets and croaks out a few words. Thank the gods, and thank you, too. I knew this was going to happen someday. They buried me alive. Who are you? Baroness Ninel Ballard, at your service. The dead woman bobs a clumsy curtsy, her legs barely supporting her. My estate is not too far from here. Let me assure you that all of you are always welcome there, assuming you are properly attired. I hate to break it to you, but you're slightly dead. How dare you? What utter foolishness! Do I look like a corpse to you? No, no, no. You forget yourself. You should be ashamed to say such things to a... The dead Baroness wags her finger at you in a chastising manner, but cuts herself short, staring at her own hand in horror. What? How? This simply cannot be. I shan't permit it. I'm afraid it's true. I am truly sorry. This graveyard was desecrated by a necromancer. It seems that he disturbed your rest as well. The dead woman covers her face with what remains of her decaying hands. So, I died. But even in death, the accursed servants of the Abyss torment me. Can nothing be done? Perhaps you could lay me to rest? I quite enjoyed my life in this world. But now there is no place for me here. Not in this miserable form. How did you awaken? Do you remember anything? Allow me to think a moment. Seems like it, yes. Indeed, I awoke because I heard a voice. They were reciting poetry, or a prayer, perhaps. I suppose those were spells, then. It must have been your thrice-damned necromancer. Would you like us to pass along any words of comfort to your friends or family while you're here? That good-for-nothing band of hangers-on? Most certainly not, thank you very much. I am reasonably confident that they have already brought my estate to ruin and squandered the fortune I bequeathed to them. They will have to do without my missives. Spare us both that indignity and embarrassment. You see, I would still be in the company of those I truly care for, were it not for your discourteous sorcerer and his parlor tricks. Ouch. Very well, then. Rest in peace. Thank you. Do feel free to take my burial jewelry. Those pieces are dreadfully out of fashion where I am going, anyway. Gold chain with diamonds. Well, thank you, Baroness. That was certainly an intriguing encounter. You know what? I'm going to assume that this stuff's out of fashion in the afterlife, too. And Baroness Nanel has, by extension, given us permission to collect it, probably. Also, we'll all blame it on Waljeff.
Pretty good, aren't I?
Anyway, we should probably get back to actually saving people.
I will protect you with my life.
Huh. A bit heavy on the dramatics there, Sosiel. It's just one zombie. What a horror! I can barely catch my breath. Thank you for saving our lives. You're welcome. Alright, let's keep pushing down the main way. Once we grab that. Thank you, Layla. Hold for a second. There we go.
Time to share your treasures.
Once again, the day is saved. Aside from that first fight, I'm not really seeing much of a threat here. I mean, not to us. Obviously, zombos are very much a threat to random city folk. Especially when you bury all these corpses with masterwork shields and scimitars. In hindsight, that does seem like a questionable tradition. Okay, we might actually have a fight this time. Layla is justifiably tired of zombies at this point. Boo.
I will bring down the divine wrath.
I'm sure you will, buddy. I'm sure you will. I didn't need that spine. Layla's actually getting a bit worn down there. We'll need to get that patched.
You won't survive me.
Well, Jeff. Come on, man.
Fall!
Ooh, that's no good. Yeah, we really need better barding for Layla. That +1 leather's just not cutting it.
Into the fray!
Oh, right. Forgot about you. Sorry about that. All right. Let's get Layla back in fighting shape. And maybe top off land while we're at it. That'll do. I think we've got time for one more fight. Let's push on a little further. Ooh, skeletal champion archer. That feels like a rather sharp escalation. And more zombie lords off to the right as well. Nice. Yeah, that's a good start. Except there are 4 of them. That feels slightly excessive. Okay, let's do this. We'll have the bulk of our guys head for the zombies, but we're going to have Creed and Waljif sweep around the sides and start picking off the archers one by one. We need to get those guys out of there as quick as possible, because otherwise they will absolutely mulch our backliners. We could really use some mass protection versus arrows right now. No, we'll have Sosiel join the main attack. Oh, okay. Yep, that is exactly what we were trying to avoid. Oh, crap, that was like 60 damage. Medic? Okay. Okay. Nice. And he is just straight up dead. That man's dead. That is unfortunate. And of course, because it's his personal side quest, we can't continue without him. Oh, good, we're back here. Okay, so... Well, I guess that just goes to show that Wrath of the Righteous does not mess around once you bump it up to core tabletop rules. You know what? I think we're at a pretty good stopping point. For now, let's hit the pause button. I'll poke around camp a bit, see if I can track down some better ways to bolster our defense. And I'll get us back to that fight. We will pick up there next time, as we take another run at the swarm of infinite arrows. You know what would have really helped there? Specializing in heavy armor instead of medium armor, Sosiel. But far be it for me to criticize a dead man. To be fair, I suppose it might have been a better idea to sword and board him, at least for the time being. That +1 breastplate's only going to get him so far with 0 dexterity. I'll see you next time. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about this game by visiting the official website, the official social media feeds, or the official store pages. And if you'd like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon. Links are in the description.
I would be sincerely grateful.